There is a version of this video you were expecting. A list of red flags, behaviors to watch for, tactics used by dangerous people, the ones you've already identified, already distanced yourself from, already filed under "not me." You are going to watch it, feel the recognition, feel the relief of knowing what to call the thing that happened to you, and close the tab slightly more certain of your own decency than when you opened it. That is not this video. This video is about you. Not the worst version of you. Not the version that appears in the clinical literature or the true crime documentaries or the relationship forums where people describe their experiences with people they'll never fully understand. The ordinary version. The version that gets up every morning and tries, with varying success, to be a reasonable person. The version that would be genuinely offended, genuinely, if someone called them manipulative. Machiavelli would find that offense very interesting, because he spent his career studying the gap between how people describe their own behavior and what their behavior actually does in the world. Not what they intend, what it does, and what he found consistently across courts and councils and every form of human power arrangement he ever observed was that the most effective manipulation is never performed by people who think of themselves as manipulators. It is performed by people who think of themselves as honest, as caring, as simply trying to be understood or to protect something or to help, who have constructed an internal narrative so complete, so sincerely believed, that the strategy running underneath it never has to be examined. That is the manipulation most people never see. Not because it's hidden from them, because it is them. This video is going to walk through the specific ways ordinary, decent, self-aware people manipulate the people around them, and the specific psychological mechanisms that make sure they never have to know they're doing it. By the end, you will either disagree strongly, or you will recognize something, and the recognition will be the more uncomfortable of the two. Let's start with the one that will lose the most people immediately. You believe in honesty. You value directness. You have been in relationships and friendships where people weren't honest with you, and it cost you something real. And you decided, with good reason, that you would not be that person. That you would say what you mean. That you would tell people the truth, even when it was uncomfortable, because that is what respect looks like. And you are someone who respects the people in your life. This is admirable. It is also, in certain forms, a delivery system for something else entirely. Radical honesty, the kind deployed without calibration, without genuine consideration of timing and context, and what the other person is actually able to receive, is not purely generous. It contains embedded within its virtue a significant benefit to the person being honest. It relieves them of the discomfort of carrying the truth. It transfers that discomfort efficiently and with moral cover to the person receiving it. Think about the last time you told someone something difficult because you felt they deserved to know. Walk it back carefully. Was it possible that you also needed to say it? That the withholding had become its own kind of burden, and the telling was partly about your relief? Was it possible that the timing which you chose was more convenient for you than for them? Was it possible that the framing, "I'm telling you this because I care about you," was true and also served to preempt the response that would have been most honest from them, which was anger? Machiavelli wrote that the prince should never deliver bad news himself, but when he does, he should frame it as a gift. Modern people have internalized this without knowing it. "I'm being honest with you" is one of the most effective frames ever developed for delivering something the other person didn't ask for in a way that makes their discomfort their problem. This is not cynicism about honesty. Honesty is necessary and real and worth protecting. but honesty deployed as a tool, as a mechanism for managing your own discomfort, establishing moral authority, or preemptively closing down responses you don't want to receive, is not purely honesty. It is honesty with an agenda, and the agenda is the part you don't tell them about. There is a second version of this, subtler and more common. It is the honesty that is selectively deployed, the truth offered in the moments and forms where it costs you least and lands where you most need it to land. Not lying, simply curating, choosing which true things to say, in which order, with which emphasis, to produce a specific effect. You do this. Everyone does this. Everyone does this. The question is not whether, it is how often, in how many relationships, and with how much awareness of what you are actually doing. Machiavelli's sharpest observation about deception was that the most durable form requires no false statements, only arrangement, only the careful selection of what to illuminate and what to leave in shadow. You have been arranging the light around yourself your entire life. You called it being open. The second category is harder to hear, not because it's more extreme. It isn't. But because it operates inside the relationships where you feel most genuinely yourself, where the motivation feels purest, where the idea that you might be doing something strategic feels like a violation of the thing itself. This is the manipulation that lives inside caring. It begins with the simple, real, entirely human experience of wanting the people you love to be okay, to make good decisions, to avoid pain you can see coming that they can't, to become, gradually, the version of themselves that you believe they're capable of being. These are not bad desires. They are the texture of genuine love. But desire, in intimate relationships, rarely stays desire. It becomes behavior, and the behavior, the checking in, the gentle steering, the concerned question, asked at the right moment, the information offered just as they're making a decision, the emotional withdrawal that arrives, reliably when they do something you don't approve of. That behavior has a function. It moves them toward what you want. Psychologists call this soft control. It doesn't look like control. It looks like care. It feels like care to you, and often to them, at least initially. But over time, in relationships where it operates consistently, the person on the receiving end begins to experience something specific, a narrowing of the space in which their choices feel fully free, a slight but persistent sense that their decisions are not entirely their own, that love in this relationship has conditions, not stated, never stated, but present in the temperature of the room after they violate them. Machiavelli wrote that the most complete power is the kind that never has to announce itself, that operates through the managed environment rather than direct command, that produces compliance not through force, but through the subtle restructuring of what feels possible. You have done this. You have withheld warmth, consciously or not, when someone you love made a choice you didn't like. You have asked questions designed to surface doubts rather than gather information. You have shared your worry, genuine worry, at the precise moment it would be most effective at redirecting them. You have framed your preferences as their well-being so thoroughly that you no longer fully remember which one it started as. None of this makes you a predator. None of this makes you a bad person. It makes you a person in a relationship, which means a person with needs and fears and a vested interest in how the people closest to you behave, and a full suite of social tools developed over a lifetime for moving people gently and deniably in the directions that feel safer to you. The difference between this and genuine care is not always visible from the inside. That's the problem Machiavelli was pointing at. Not that people are secretly malicious. That people are genuinely caring and genuinely strategic simultaneously. And that the conflation of these two things, the sincere belief that they are the same thing, is the mechanism that makes the strategy invisible to them, and most crucially, to you. Here is the part that makes all of the above possible. Not character, not intelligence, not moral failure. The mechanism that allows ordinary, decent, self-aware people to manipulate consistently without ever arriving at that word for what they're doing is something much more fundamental. It is the story. Every person carries a narrative about themselves, a continuous, self-authored account of who they are, what motivates them, why they do what they do. This narrative is not a lie. It is a genuine construction, assembled from memory and self-perception, and the feedback of people who know you. And it is the thing you mean when you say this is who I am. But the narrative has a feature that is also its primary vulnerability. It is edited in real time to maintain coherence. When you do something that doesn't fit the self-concept, when you act in a way that is unkind, or strategic, or self-serving in a way the narrative can't easily accommodate, the editing happens automatically, below the level of conscious awareness, before you have a chance to examine it. The behavior gets reframed, relabeled, absorbed into the story in a form that preserves the self-concept. I wasn't being controlling. I was protecting them. I wasn't being dishonest. I was managing the timing. I wasn't punishing them. I was genuinely hurt and needed space. Each of these things may be partially true. The protection may be real. The timing may genuinely matter. The hurt may be completely authentic. But the reframe, the automatic conversion of the behavior into its most flattering available description, is also happening. And it is happening fast enough and completely enough that by the time you examine the behavior consciously, you are already examining the reframe rather than the thing itself. Psychologists call this motivated reasoning. Machiavelli called it something more direct. He observed that people are extraordinarily good at believing what serves them, and that this capacity is not a weakness but a feature, one that allows them to pursue their interests with the full force of genuine conviction, which is far more persuasive than calculated strategy would ever be. The sincerely caring person who controls through care is more effective than the coldly strategic one, because they believe it, because their body language, their tone, their emotional availability all reflect a genuine internal state that is not manipulation, and that genuine state coexists seamlessly with the behavior that functions as manipulation. This is the thing that is hardest to sit with. Not that you have manipulated people, but that the sincerity was also real, that the love was genuine, that you did care, and that the caring and the controlling were not separable, were not even distinguishable from inside the experience of having them. Machiavelli's final word on this was not condemnation, it was observation. He noted that the most effective political actors were the ones who had fully merged their self-interest with their belief in their own virtue, who did not experience the gap because the narrative had closed it so completely. He wasn't describing exceptional people. He was describing almost everyone, which means the question is not whether you have done this. It is what you are going to do with knowing. This video is not going to give you that. Not because you don't deserve it, that's not the point, but because absolution is itself. One of the things people seek from self-knowledge, in a way that forecloses the actual usefulness of self-knowledge. You watch the video, you recognize yourself, you feel the discomfort, and then you want something that converts the discomfort into resolution, into, I see it now. so I'm no longer doing it. That is not how it works. And Machiavelli, more than almost any other thinker, was honest about that. Seeing the mechanism does not immediately stop the mechanism. The narrative editing is not a choice you can simply opt out of by becoming aware that it exists. The soft control does not disappear the moment you recognize it as soft control. The curated honesty does not become uncurated just because you've spent 20 minutes thinking about the curation. What changes, what actually changes, is much smaller than absolution and much more useful. It is the pause, the half second before the reframe completes, where something in you catches the motion and asks, what was that, actually? Not in the edited version, in the version before the story got to it. That pause is the only place where any of this becomes different. Not fixed, different. The behavior may still happen. The narrative may still close around it. But somewhere in the gap, for a moment, you saw it. Machiavelli's real legacy is not a manual for princes. It is the insistence that the world be seen as it is rather than as it is, comfortable to believe it is. And the most radical application of that insistence is not toward the people around you, the ones you've been examining, categorizing, identifying as more or less manipulative than yourself. It is toward the person doing the examining. You are not the objective observer of a world full of people with agendas. You are one of the people with an agenda. You have always been. The question Machiavelli leaves you with, the one that has no comfortable answer and was never meant to, is not how to stop. It is whether you are willing to watch yourself closely enough to finally see what you're doing, and whether that seeing changes anything, or whether the story just absorbs that too.